Hello folks, and welcome back to the Vision of Veritas here. So last night I watched the debate, Oz versus Fetterman. I don't know if any of you got a chance to do that, but the only word that I can think to use to describe what I witnessed and what a lot of people witnessed was a train wreck. And it's not just because of Fetterman's inability to answer and comprehend questions. I also really didn't like the fact that Oz is a lukewarm Republican just like Pat Toomey. The unfortunate part of this is Oz has the makings of a rhino, and collectively we have to stop that. That's a huge problem that is absolutely not what our nation needs. But of the two choices, I mean, it's obvious who I do support, and there's a lot of valid reasons for that. Now, I actually am going to go through the whole debate here. Yes, it is going to be long, but I think it's really important that we do that. I want to preface this by stating my commentary will have absolutely nothing to do with the effects and the aftermath displayed with regards to Fetterman's stroke. On a purely human level, it's very unfortunate what happened to him. On a policy level, his policies are just as bad now as they were prior to his stroke. So my commentary will have nothing whatsoever to do with his stroke. Now, when we watch this here, I truly believe that Fetterman as a whole doesn't know the answers to some of these questions. The reason why I'm saying this is because you can tell when he gets a little flustered, and then it's almost like a default. He defaults to kind of throwing a cheap shot out at his opponent, Oz. And usually it's a personal attack. Now, as far as political debates go, I'm all for attacking your opponent as long as it's about the politics of the opponent. That's what these debates are for. But I have a problem with the cheap shots because you don't know the answer to the question, or you simply don't understand the question. So you default to an ad hominem answer. And it doesn't do anybody good. It makes you look like a moron.
Turning back to you, Mr. Fetterman, for a follow-up. In an op-ed for the Wilkes-Barre Times Leader, you wrote, quote, "It is time we crack down on the big price gouging corporations that are making record profits while jacking up prices for all of us." How do you plan to do this, sir? You mentioned going after price gouging corporations. How do you plan to do this? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. We have to keep pushing back on that. And he would never make that choice to fight for families here in Pennsylvania. You know, he has never met an oil company that he doesn't swipe right about. You know, he has never been able to stand up for working families all across Pennsylvania. You know, we must push back. Inflation has hurt Americans and Pennsylvania's families, and it has given the oil companies record profits.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Turning to the next issue, Dennis.
Come on, Fetterman, enough with the petty personal jabs and personal attacks. You already look like a fool. So here with Fetterman's next answer, we have a textbook leftist talking point. A, it doesn't answer the question, and B, it also proves that Fetterman has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Blaming the big, bad, mean corporations that have more money than you do, A, doesn't answer the question, and B, doesn't resolve the issue. Taxing corporations more, all that does is take money out of the pockets of the businesses, and said business is going to have to make up that lost revenue somewhere, and where's it going to turn to? Well, they're not going to turn the lights off. They're not going to get rid of their trash pickup. They're not going to get rid of their internet access. No, what they're going to do is they're going to cut bodies or cut hours to make up for the loss in revenue. You see, the left has been pushing this idea that it has the moral latitude to tell anybody what is too much to make. There is no constitutional grounds, none whatsoever, that gives the government any authority to tell anybody how much they can or can't make. So what they do is they tell you, the average consumer, well, specifically the left, they tell you, the average consumer, well, you know, these massive corporations, they're making X number of dollars, they can make these cuts. And well, you know what? While they may be able to make those cuts, the government has no business telling the corporations to make the cuts. Think about it. Do you really want a society where the government puts a cap on how much money you can make? Do you really want a society where a government says company A is making so much money that we're going to come in and tell it how much it can now make and what you must do with said profits? That's where this is going here. The government has no business telling you how much is too much to make, number one. And number two, the government has no business planting in your head, specifically the left, The left has no business planting in your head the ideals of class warfare, because that's what this is. This is a classic socialist tactic. They put those who are making what seems like a ton of money, or what is a ton of money, against those who aren't. They then, in turn, tell you, the average voter, which there's going to be more population of the average voter making the average salary versus someone making a lot of money, and they appeal to those masses to try to garner a vote. In reality, they don't care whatsoever how much money you or how much money said corporation makes. They just act like they do so they can get your vote. And you know what? The vast majority of you fall for it. It's the same thing year after year. You get the Democrat candidate saying, well, we need to go after massive corporations and cause they're making way too much money. So what happens? Democrats get into office, they get kickbacks from the corporations just like Republicans do, and nothing happens. What you need to do is you need to lower the taxes across the board. That's going to put more wealth in their pockets, but it's also going to put more wealth in your pocket. You need to stop thinking about this in such a manner that says someone else is getting more money or getting rich or working harder or so on and so forth, but I can't do that myself when you absolutely can. You just have to make the choice to do it. The only person, the only entity that puts a cap on how much you make is you, in this country anyway. So, bottom line here, stop falling for Democrats pitting one class of people against another. You need to stop thinking that because someone else makes more than you, because a corporation makes more than you, that there is something unfair or that they did something nefarious to get where they are, because that isn't necessarily the case. Now, I'm sure there are cases out there where things are like that, but I would venture an educated guess that the vast majority aren't. If you stuck around and listened to this entire thing, I cannot say how appreciative I am of you, for doing so. You didn't have to do that. Please listen to it, share it to your friends, take it to heart. If you've learned anything from this, please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said earlier, please send this to your friends. I need all the help I can get with expanding this channel, and that's what I would truly love to do, but I can't do it without you. So, once again, at the risk of sounding like a parrot, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. Have a good day and take care.